What's going on, YouTube? Snakebite here. Today, we're going to be having a little chat. Now, as I'm sure some of you have seen, we are going to be playing for FaZe for 2023. The roster is myself, Renegade, Royal 2, and Frosty with Coach Royal 1. I wanted to make this video to kind of talk about really the past year, being 2022, how the Infinite season kind of went for us, explain some reasoning, obviously not all reasoning, and just kind of give some insight. You know, I know we've been a team for a really long time. I think that we've been fortunate enough to gain a lot of fans through that time, and I just wanted to give some clarity, I guess, to the situation. Now, this video obviously is not an easy one to make, regardless of being excited for the 2023 season. I'm just, I still just feel kind of heartbroken over the fact that we even had to make a roster change. I had really hoped that the team that we had from 2016 would be my last team. It would be the last team that I ever competed with. Obviously, that's not going to be, there isn't the case anymore going forward. But, I don't think there'll ever be a part of me that doesn't feel sad not having Lethal on the roster anymore. I love TJ. I love him as a player. I love him as a person. I wish him nothing but the best. I'll be rooting for him. Whenever we're not playing him, I'll be rooting for him. I could go on and on about it. The rest of it's kind of just like personal stuff. Obviously, we've been through a lot together. The way that I look at it is we all change each other's lives. I hope that I can be friends with these guys for the rest of my life. And they're my best friends. I don't know. This stuff sucks. I wish it never had to happen. I wish it never did happen. I wish 2022 would have went very differently. I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about the past year, and kind of give some insight and give them some explanations. I'm sorry if this is somewhat out of order or rambling. I'm just kind of making it on the fly. But I love Tej. It still sucks no matter what way. No matter what happens in the future with hopefully we continue to win, but not playing with him will always be a really, really disappointing thing. Now, to give some clarity on some rumors and stuff that took place in 2022. First off, in 2022, I felt really confident in the team. Heading into the year, I thought we were really good, even with the no practice thing and the whole thing that went on with teams not wanting to play us and, yada, yada. We still managed to be really good. We were still a really great team. We won, the Esport Arena tournament. That was the one that had like the no Geo thing in it. But, I do think that Royal 2 getting suspended really hurt us. It is what it is. It's the rules. Obviously, no one else on the team had known about it, but, I do think it did hurt us in a little bit of aspects, because I thought we were catching a groove, and then we had to play Raleigh without him, playing a bunch of Pro Series without him, and then went to Anaheim on just a little practice. We did not have a strong showing at Anaheim. We got fourth, which on the grand scheme of things, like if you look at competition, like it's not as if fourth is the worst place ever, but in our minds, if we're not winning, obviously we're doing something wrong. Now post Anaheim, I had a big problem with the team, and that was the way that we were approaching things, our game plan, our way that we were going about things, and I brought it up. I brought it up to everyone. I heard rumors that we were like already making a change pre-Kansas City and stuff like that, and that is literally just untrue. Like I said, if anything, I was planning on leaving. I told the guys that. I said, I spoke to TJ about it. I talked to Matt about it. I think I mentioned it kind of to Brad a little bit. I definitely didn't want to get to a point where I was getting really frustrated. And this is like me speaking for myself. I was getting very frustrated with our game plan, our work ethic, the way we were going about stuff. We weren't improving the way we needed to. And obviously we had limited practice, but like it just still wasn't going in the right direction. We had a really big team talk. Things started to move in the right direction. And then we won Kansas City. Now, this is where stuff kind of gets interesting. Post Kansas City, we had just won the event, and Renegade approaches us, basically letting us know that he's leaving Cloud9. He would like to join our team, but he has other options as well. Now, I'm not going to name names in this. It's kind of self-explanatory. It is what it is. I just am trying to give our side of kind of what was going on and what happened and whatever. But basically the way that I had felt about the Renegade situation post Kansas City was, I thought we were looking at the best player in the game. I mean, I still think he has a claim to that, but obviously Optic with the past 2 events, I think Lucid is very, very clear the number one at the moment until people can be winning tournaments besides Optic. I thought that we were looking at the number one player in the world, and I thought that we were an incredible team. And when we talked about it and we brought it up amongst us three about Renegade and what we wanted to do, we were really still confident in our team. We had just won, and we were really sitting on the fact that like we didn't need to make a change because of the fact that we beat everyone. But the reality of our win was that we really were still kind of underperforming. We went to game 5 with PK. We had a really close series with KCP, which is nothing against those guys. They're a great team, obviously ending the year getting third. We really should have lost to Quadrant. We went to game 5 with Quadrant, went to game 5 with them. And then really Kansas City was us proving our peak, beating Cloud9, beating Optic. We could have lost to Optic, and then sweeping Cloud9 in the finals, but we still weren't happy with the overall performance of us as a group. Now, with all that being said, again, I know I could speak for myself when I say post Kansas City, when I heard the news, I wasn't really fully convinced on making a change or wasn't 100% sold on the idea. I thought we would have maybe more potential, but I also saw us with the chemistry that we have and the fact that we're coming off a win as a really big advantage for us. But when it got brought up of some of the other teams that possibly might form around Renegade, and there's no other way to put that. Like there's some of the other rosters that may have formed around him, obviously not including Cloud9. I kind of saw it as a problem. We were already struggling to beat Cloud9. Optic, we were kind of back and forth with them. And when he was leaving for potentially what he thought was going to be better options to that roster, we were the number one pick. But when there were other options as a secondary to him, I'm not gonna lie, like in terms of a competition front, I saw that as being a big problem. I saw that as us potentially not being the favorite anymore going into what was the event after KC, into Orlando. It's not to be anti-competitive, it's just when you look at this kind of stuff, you have to evaluate rosters and who's forming, and that you have to be able to compete with said rosters every single day. And I thought that with some of the rosters that could form, I thought that with how far, I don't want to say how far behind we were because we had just won, but with how inconsistent we were, I saw our chances for Worlds being very, very limited. So we basically approached TJ and told him the news. TJ, by the way, is Lethal, obviously, for those of you who don't know. So we basically approached Lethal and explained to him the situation about Renegade leaving Cloud9. We did tell him that if he was available to get, we were going to make the change, but if we could not, he was on the team. We viewed Renegade as the best player in the game, and if we couldn't replace Lethal with that player, there were no other changes that we can make to make us stronger. And I truly, truly, truly believe that. That's not a knock on TJ. I view it as more of a credit to Renegade, but like as a unit, we were not functioning 100% correct. I'll talk about that more a little bit, I guess. But I just feel like that was my approach too. It was like, okay, I can't allow these other teams to form, or I have to attempt to not allow these other teams to form, or this other team to form. But like, I don't want to make a change. So if it's this or nothing, and obviously, a lot of the rumors are true. We had agreed to buyouts for Renegade. Cloud9 accepted, raised it, accepted, raised it, accepted, and then backed out, and basically told us that they view us as their toughest competition, essentially, kind of deal, and they didn't want to help their competition, in which, I'm paraphrasing a lot of this, so you have to bear with me, but in which, obviously, he got sent over and got sold to FaZe. Now, even though people will attribute and I mean, maybe it did, I really don't know. From my perspective, like, I love playing with TJ, I love playing with Lethal. People will kind of contribute some of our failures at the second half of the season being due to this drama. I would say it certainly could have. I just don't, from my perspective and being in the calls and being there, I'm sure it impacted our friendships a little bit, but overall, I thought we were still playing really high caliber Halo. I thought we were still right there in the top 3. And honestly, like, I give full credit to TJ. Like, when we had this conversation with him and when we went into Orlando and Worlds, like, he was working just as hard, and he was just, you couldn't ask for someone for the situation I was in. And I understand how of a ridiculous and just awful situation it was for him. He still just approached it the way that we've always asked him to, and the way that he just always asked of us. And we just went hard to practice, and we really, really worked. I mean, we're talking 12-hour days for Orlando and for Worlds. And even though I view us as the third place team there at those two events, I just feel like we were still far behind. And that's no discredit to the teams that placed above us. Obviously, when I say third place, I just mean it in regards to we had lost to Optic and Cloud9. Orlando, Optic twice. Or sorry, what the heck am I saying? In Orlando, Cloud9 twice, now SSG, and then go into Worlds, and we had gotten 5th place, but we lost to Optic and Cloud9/SSG, who got 1st and 2nd. Now, as I mentioned, obviously, I still thought we were a top caliber team. I thought we could still win Orlando and still win Worlds, but it didn't go that way for us. We could not beat the number 1 and number 2 seed, or the number 1 and number 2 team, I should say. I think they were both 1 and 2 seed, but I'm not entirely sure. And obviously, with wanting to win, it was like apparent something had to change. And at least, I can only speak for myself with it. I don't think it came down to a single person. I don't think it was TJ's fault or Lethal, TJ being Lethal's fault. I think literally as a unit, we were just not succeeding. We were not achieving what we wanted to achieve, and we were not playing the game the correct way. That does not fall on one person. That is not one person's fault. It is a team game, and as a team, we failed and we're failing. And when you work really, really hard for a year straight and you only see success for one tiny glimpse of that year, if it was a lack of effort, then you could point towards it being an effort, like an effort issue. Like, hey, if we just fix our effort, we'll get back to the number 1 spot. But with how the year went, it was the first time that we experienced this with this team, in my opinion, where other teams were just clearly better than us. Now, post-Worlds, honestly, I stepped away from Halo. We went on like a little tiny vacation post-Worlds in Seattle, then came back, and it was like kind of towards the holidays-ish that stuff started to pick back up. If you follow my stream, and kind of when I came back to streaming is really when I started playing Halo again. I hadn't talked to anyone until that point. Like, genuinely, I don't think I talked to anyone on my team until that point. But obviously when I came back and we started getting ready, like, okay, like the new season's coming up, the conversation again about Renegade popped up. And personally, like, again, as much as heartbroken as I am about it, and as I feel about it, I don't know what else to say. I don't know. It's at the end of the day, if you want to win and you want to continue to stay on top, if it's not working, I don't know what else to do or to say, or to, I don't know. And it's not as if it's like someone did something wrong, or it's not like, someone did something wrong and that's why we weren't doing well or whatever. It's just as a unit, we were not achieving and we were not moving the way that we wanted to. So again, when the conversation came back up, it was, in my opinion, it's kind of the inevitable. Obviously we could have stayed together in hopes of working hard and figuring it out. I truly think that I truly think the reason why we didn't succeed in this game is because of the fundamentals of the game. The game is super like weapon dependent and very, people use the word all the time, like sandboxy. And I think even though it's a very strong teamwork oriented game, which I think is the reason why we stayed so strong, but I don't think that the weapon side of it is something that catered to us well. And if you go back to Halo 5, it was kind of the same thing in Halo 5. Like, we really struggled in Halo 5 to like when we were on the back foot, like we struggled to like get the overshields and get the power weapons. And, it's just the fundamental makeup of our team always really struggled with that. But in Halo 5, I felt like, I think probably the thing that saved us in Halo 5 was that there's so many other things you could do on the map. There are so many plays you can make with the thruster and the heat wave and sprint sliding and, sprint slide thrusting into the other team's base. And there are these plays that you can make that kind of cut the fundamental side of like, hey, when you spawn up, you have to play for this weapon in a setup orientation way. Like I said, I think it's always been our weak point. And I think that in this game in particular, it showed. if the sandbox was taken down or like lowered, I think that we probably would have been more so on the successful side. Again, that's just my 2 cents. Whether or not that's true, it's not to take away from anyone. That's just my 2 cents and how I feel about it. But obviously going into Infinite or into year 2, we had to assume that nothing was going to change, and we thought that adding a high caliber Slayer like Renegade, who's really great with the weapons and really efficient and not only knows kind of the optic style, which is what we're more comfortable with, but also knew the Cloud9 SSG style, which I thought would be an added benefit to us to kind of get both sides of the coin, to figure out maybe how to keep progressing and how to keep improving as a team and to keep improving in Halo Infinite. Now, obviously, for the last part of this video, I'm sure it's going to be kind of dysfunctional overall, but leaving Sen was no easy choice. We tried to bring Renegade over. Quite frankly, obviously, he had signed a contract with FaZe. Our contracts had come up, and so we chose to go to FaZe to get the roster that we wanted to compete with the year. It's really not that deep. We love Sen. I wish him the best. You guys, probably know how I feel about TJ and how much I love him and want the best for him. I'm glad he was able to stay on Sen and get a really great roster. And I know he's going to be competing for chips, and we're going to be battling all year with him. So, it's going to be weird seeing him on the other side, but, nothing but love to Sen. Thank you for taking care of us and just treating us just the best always. So no drama there or anything. Just want to give kind of, I feel like I need to give some explanation to Sen fans, because I feel bad in the sense of like we're swapping to a different organization. I'm really excited to be playing for FaZe. We have, if you guys, obviously, if you follow Halo, you know who Towie is. Towie is here managing us, and he works with FaZe, and he's going to, I know he's going to take good care of us as well. I'm really excited to finally be working with him. I've always been battling against Towie. It's fun to have him on our side now. Big shout out to him for, just communicating with us when we were finally available and helping us figure stuff out fairly quickly. Because, we had to wait a lot for our contracts to be up, which wasn't until December 31st, I think, or something like that. We had our talks with Renegade, but then, it comes down to the org side and the business side. But yeah, I think that kind of sums it up. Big thank you to FaZe for agreeing to sign us. I'm really looking forward to the year. I'm excited for the team. I always have kind of mixed feelings, I guess, when it comes to our old roster in terms of like, again, it's no discredit to Renegade. I'm always going to wish stuff could have been slightly different. I'm excited to play with them. I think we have a great shot at winning. We're going to work really hard, and we're going to try to get back into the winner circle. So yeah, not much else to say about it. That's kind of the timeline, I guess, of 2022 to 2023. Thank you to all our fans throughout the years. I can't say enough how much I appreciate it, and how we appreciate it. We've made a lot of lifelong supporters that mean a lot to us. And breaking up and making a change just is not an easy thing to do, and it's not just about us, it's about you guys as well. So I'm trying to look at it as, what's the saying, like, don't be sad that it's over, be happy that it happened, or something like that, because genuinely we change each other's lives. And even some of the people that we've met through streaming and like from the support that we've gotten has changed my life as well. So, I feel very blessed and very fortunate that we ever got to form this team. We were a no away from TJ from never having the past 7 years. So yeah, sucks, but excited for the future. Much love to all the fans. Sen, TJ, just nothing but love from me. And yeah, on to 2023 we go. Thanks for watching.